Let's have a look at hyperlinks. Now, just over here on this website, you can see that hyperlinks are in the sidebar and they're in the text of the website itself. And the HTML that creates a hyperlink looks like this. And we've got the URL in there and the link text here. Now that is very simple HTML code that displays a hyperlink to Google with the link text Google, you can see here, and it links to google.com. Now hyperlinks can also be images, and the only real difference there is that we have, let me just show you, image source equals, let me go over to my website and I'll just grab the URL of an image, grab this image here, copy image URL, and I'll paste it in there and close that tag. Right, now the only difference between a text link, copy, I'm going to paste that further down, and an image link, whoops, is this link text here. In that example we're using a text link, therefore we're linking Google as the text, but if I was to delete that and paste in my image link instead, or my image code, and it's not wanting me to do, let me just cut it this way then and see, and paste it. Okay, now we've just created an image, as you can see here, that is also a link. If I click on that, it would then take me to the URL here, google.com. Now, to keep things simple for this introductory course to CSS, we're going to concentrate on text links and what you can do with them. Now, when a web browser renders a link and shows it like this, there's no CSS currently attached to this link, but web browsers have a default setting for links, and usually they'll display links as blue and underlined when you haven't visited them, but when you click on the link and visit the link, then that link changes color, usually to purple. So right there we're getting an indication that links can have states. They can have an unclick state and a click state, and there is actually a hover state as well and a focus state, and you can set the CSS for each of those. But let's start off small. We want to change the style of the hyperlink. So the first thing we need to do is create some CSS that uses the A selector, and A, you can see, is the tag used in HTML to define a link. So we're using the A selector in the CSS, putting in our curly brackets, and then we can put in formatting or declarations inside this declaration block. Now, we've seen in a previous example that we can actually remove the underline from our link by putting a text decoration equals none. The default text decoration for browsers is to underline that link, and that's how people know where hyperlinks are, and they're usually blue as well, although as you see from this theme they are not, and this theme has been customized to use different color schemes. So just as an example, if I wanted to change these links so that they were blue, I could examine this code here. Let's have a look. I'm going to examine that hyperlink, and you can see here that the color is set here to red. But what happens if I change that to blue? You can see the hyperlinks now changed to blue. So you can see it's fairly easy to change the color of a hyperlink. And if we go back to LiveWeave, all we need to do is say color blue, and you can see the hyperlink has now changed color to blue. If I move my mouse over, the color stays the same, it's not changing. So how do we get it to change color when you move your mouse over, or even change some other formatting properties of the hyperlink? Well, this is where something called pseudo classes come in, and I don't want to confuse you with the term, so let's just get on and have a look and see how they actually work. Now, the pseudo classes that are related to links are these ones: link, visited, active, and hover. Now, active is less important for us, so we're going to look at just these three. And the link pseudo class only applies to links that have not been visited yet. Visited pseudo class means the link has been visited, and hover means that the link has the mouse cursor hovering over it. So let's see how we can use those. Essentially what we need to do is we need to combine the pseudo class with the selector. So let's have a look at the link one first. We'll just copy that. And over here, I'm going to paste it right there. So we've got a:link. And again, when we're combining these, we don't include any spaces between the selector and the pseudo class. So the colon has no spaces on the left or the right. Now, this code here is saying only affect links that have not been visited. Now, I've clicked on this link, so it has actually been changed. Let's turn that to green so we make it very clear. This link here is not green. That's because it's already been clicked on. And this pseudo class, as you remember, only affects links that have not been clicked on. So let's copy this code. And I'm going to paste it down a little bit further. And if you remember, the second pseudo class is visited. So let's copy that one. I'm going to change, well, let's change this first to, change that to yellow. And I'm going to change link to visited. And now you can see my hyperlink has been visited. So it's yellow. Let's add in another hyperlink up here so we can see what's going on. Now, in order for this to work, I actually need to put in a different URL that I know I haven't visited. So I'm going to just make one up. Okay, and I'm going to just put in a little bit of HTML code just to add some spacing between them. Okay, so we've got two links now. This one to Google has been visited, so it's using this code in the CSS, and the color is yellow. This link is using this code because it hasn't been visited yet, and therefore it's green. Okay, so there's two pseudo classes. One refers to links that have not been followed, and the other refers to links that have been followed. The other pseudo class I wanted to look at is the hover. So let's see what that does. Okay, I put in a hover, and I put in the declaration block. Let's change the background color and it's not actually completing that for me. Let me just type it in manually. We'll change background color to blue. So what does that do? Well, let's hover our mouse over the links. And you can see both links now have that blue background when I hover my mouse over. And that's because it doesn't matter whether I'm going over a visited link or an unvisited link. This pseudo class affects all links when the mouse hovers over them. Okay, and just before we finish this, I want to show you one more thing, one more visual effect you can make to your hyperlinks. Let's change that. In fact, let's just get rid of the background color. What we can do is we can say border, and I'm going to put border top, and let's change this to just so that you can see it. We'll change it to blue. So what I'm saying is when I hover my mouse over, I want to change the border top value. If you imagine the text inside a box, it's the top surface of that box. I want to make it 1 pixel and solid blue. So let's move our mouse over and see what happens. You can see a solid blue line moves across there. And solid, I could say dashed. And now we have a blue dash line across the top. So you can format your links in a great number of ways. But I think one lesson we can learn from my little experiment here is don't overdo it. In this particular case, it might actually be better to remove all of the CSS and go back to the default settings of the browser. And you can see now the default settings for the unvisited and visited link have been reset.